welcome everyone to our Naviance training evening for our families. The school counseling department has set this training session up, or this informational session, to provide parents with what Naviance is and how we use Naviance, not only at the high school level, but at the middle school level as well. So joining us this evening, we have Ms. Rosen, who is a school counselor at the high school, and we have Ms. Peyragrosse, who is a school counselor at one of the middle schools, and they're going to share with you the features of Naviance, how Naviance is used, features that we may not necessarily use, but parents and students can use as well. So without further ado, I'm going to turn the program over, I think, to Rachel. You're going to go first.
Miss Peyragrosse is going to go first.
Okay.
I'm going to share my screen and pull up the PowerPoint. So
Okay.
let's bear with me here with that. And how does that look? Good? All right. So Karen, all you.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for attending this presentation. My name is Karen Peyragrosse, and I'm one of the school counselors at Roosevelt Middle School. I'm also the Naviance coordinator for the 3 middle schools, Edison, Liberty, and Roosevelt. So tonight we will talk about Naviance, what it is, and what we specifically do at the middle school level, and Ms. Rosen will talk about what is done at the high school level. So welcome to Naviance Student. If you can go back, but that's okay. So what is Naviance Student? Naviance Student is a college and career readiness program. It's a platform, it's a website, if you will. And it provides students with career planning and assessment tools. The students will start using it in 6th grade until 12th grade, until they graduate pretty much. And you might wonder why we start so early as 6th grade to talk about career and college and after high school opportunities. Well, the earlier we expose students to post-secondary opportunities, the more likely it is that they will pursue a post-secondary education. So it's quite important. And, you know, at this age, if you ask your children, or if we ask students in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade what they want to do, most likely they don't have any idea of what they want to do. Or, you know, as we're often being told, they want to be a professional soccer player, a professional basketball player. And yes, Kyrie Irving did graduate from Roosevelt Middle School, but unfortunately, it is not the majority of students who will become professional athletes or professional rapper songwriters. So they definitely need another option, and they need to think about something different to do. And don't get me wrong, some students definitely know what they want to do. They're very determined. I had a student this week who came to my office. We sat down, we looked at Naviance. She knew exactly what she wanted to do. She knew about financial aid already, and she knew that she wanted to go to community college because she didn't want to spend too much money. I mean, it was unbelievable, and she was an 8th grader. So we do have these students already know their path and what they want to do, but that's not the majority once again. So we need to guide them, and we need to offer different options. And this is where Naviance comes into play, and will help them determine and start to explore really what they want to do. Next slide, please. So what are the goals for the middle schoolers? The first goal, and don't laugh about this, but it's going to be really to remember their username and password, to how to log in. We make it very easy on them. So their username is going to be their school email address, and their password is going to be their STU hashtag password. So it's easy to remember, and this is the same password that they use everywhere. They will have the same account from 6th grade until they graduate. This will not change. So that's really easy for them. It's just going to transfer from school to school. We also want them to become familiar with the platform, because when they get to the high school, they're going to have so many other things to think about and so many other focuses that we just want to take that stress away. And we want them to know exactly where to find certain features on Naviance and know how to log in and not to worry about this. They will also start, like I said, to explore careers and different paths and things that maybe they never thought about before. And this is the beauty of Naviance, and we'll show you the website in a few minutes. And you'll see, I mean, there's so many options and opportunities that sometimes it can be overwhelming. And that's why we also guide them on the platform to know exactly what they need to know and where they need to go. They will take several career assessments. And no, they're not graded. This is just for them to discover their strength, to discover that strength and interest can lead to different careers. And I'll show you as well on the website what it looks like. And of course, we will start looking at after high school options in colleges. And we also have once a month, we have a challenge of the month, and I'll talk to you about that a little bit later. Next slide, please. So like I said, they're going to create their account in 6th grade, and their account will remain the same. You can have an account as a parent as well. But most of the time, I think it's better that you use your child account because it's going to be the exact same difference as Peyragrosse. You know, students have accounts, parents have accounts, or Google Classroom. But when you are on Google Classroom, you do not see the same as your student. And you can see if your child is missing something on Google Classroom, but you cannot do the assignment. It's going to be the same on Naviance. You're going to be able to see the results of the survey of their career assessment, but you cannot take the career assessment, or you cannot apply to college for them. So I think it's nice for you to have both sides of it. I mean, it's really up to you. You can create your own account or see through your child's account. It's the same. We cannot link students in different schools because, as you see on this slide, every middle school has a different URL. So unfortunately, if you have a student at Edison and if you have a student at the high school, we cannot link their account. So unfortunately, you're going to need to have 2 different accounts depending on where your children are. We can only link students who are in the same school. So if you have 2 students at Roosevelt, 2 students at the high school, then we can definitely link them, and that's something we can do for you. All these activities related to Naviance are done during advisories, so your students are, you know, they have ample time to do that. We've been doing it this year in 7th and 8th grade. We'll do it also in 6th grade towards the end of the school year. So all this is done during the school day, and they can, of course, and we encourage them to also do it on their own. Some students I know do it, and they can definitely do it at home. And we also want you to get involved and see and look at what they're doing. So now I'm gonna show you what it looks like. I'm gonna share my screen.
So I'll stop sharing.
Yes. So this is what it looks like. And as you can see, I'm gonna log in as a Roosevelt student, and Roosevelt Middle is really the website. Every middle school is gonna have a different website, and the high school is gonna have a different website as well. So the student will click on the student and log in. So like I said, their username is their school email address, and their password is their STU hashtag password. So today I am an 8th grader, and the website looks the same. You'll see when Miss Rosen also shows it to you, it pretty much looks the same for all the schools. They all have different welcome messages. The things we're going to do at the middle school level is really to focus on those 3 tabs: self-discovery, careers, and colleges. So self-discovery, this is where they're going to be taking the career surveys, and I'm going to show you. So I took the career key, and this is the result. So they're going to come up with different trades, and they're going to have different scores. So apparently this is realistic, and they can link that. So those career interests, again, are going to ask them what they like to do and what activities they like to do. And then it's going to show them their strengths and also what kind of careers they could do based on that. And once they click on the careers, they're going to have a lot of them. So they can pick one that they don't know about, for example, and then learn about it. They're going to see what that is, how many years after high school they're going to have to work for, and then what kind of skills they need for that type of activity, and the wages. Always very important to know how much that position will make. So that's one. So that the self-discovery is going to be about, again, the career assessments. Then we're going to be using careers, and they're going to explore them. So this is all the careers you can imagine by alphabetical order. And it's, again, a lot of them. And again, it's the same. You click on one, just pick the first one, and you get the same overview, skills, experiences. Then you can also add some careers to your favorite, and you just need to click on the little heart, and then they will be put there in your favorites. I know students like to do that. If you don't want to explore careers because it's a little bit too much, because it's too many of them, you can go under clusters and pathways and pick, a cluster that you might enjoy. Let's go to arts, and then you can pick maybe more targeted to what you like to do. And again, you're going to have an overview, and there what's interesting is that if you don't like that type of activity, then you can go to related occupations and see what else you could be doing in that area. It also links to related majors, so more targeted to after high school, what you would need to do. And the last thing under career is road trip nation, which is the students really like to do that. These are small videos, very short videos of professionals who talk about what they're doing, and they can pick by interest, by themes, or by leaders. So if I go by interests, and if I go under action and sports, I'll find my professional soccer player who's here. So if you want to listen to him, and it's really interesting because he's going to talk about his doubts and what was difficult in the job, and what he's doing after retirement. So it's these are good videos for students. And lastly, colleges, and I know Ms. Rosen will talk more about that. What we'll do is we'll do an advanced college search. We'll allow students to pick different features. So what type of college they would like to go to. 2-year, 4-year, public, private, where? In New Jersey, outside of New Jersey, maybe outside of the US. A student body, how many students they would like in the colleges, et cetera, et cetera. So this is interesting, and then it's going to give them some matches as well as to what type of colleges they could go to. Like I said, they can also put some colleges in their favorites, and I did put some there just to show you quickly. Oh, it's slow. I picked one in Paris because why not? And that's what they can do. And lastly, what I wanted to mention, so aside from these 3 tabs that we will be using most of the time, at the bottom of the page, you can also see updates. And these are events that will happen in a district or outside of the district that are interesting and that maybe you can participate in, like the ROTC summer camp, and also the challenge of the month. So every month I'm going to post a challenge on the Naviance website for the 3 middle schools. And every month we really encourage you parents to get involved and get connected with your children and explore one career within a cluster. And I give you more details when you click on the link. And that's about it for the middle school. So now I'm gonna hand the virtual mic to Miss Rosen.
Okay. So Karen, I think you have to stop. Yeah, there we go. And then I'm gonna share. Okay. All right, so thank you so much. Again, I'm Rachel Rosen. I'm one of the 10 school counselors at the high school. And, you know, it's a really nice transition from the middle school to the high school because the kids come up to the high school already being familiar with Naviance and knowing about some of the features so that we can really, you know, take a much deeper dive with them when they get to the high school. In addition to all the things that Ms. Peyragrosse talked about, you know, the careers, the self-discovery, the little updates at the bottom, we use all of that as well. One thing that sets us apart is that we really use Naviance as that post-high school planning tool, figuring out what the kids want to do after high school, whether it be college, trade school, military, and then this platform becomes extremely useful when applying to those programs in their senior year. So just like the homepage in the middle school, the homepage is kind of tailored for the specific grade level. So this demo, I made a demo student for myself, is a junior. So you'll see that there'll be all kinds of useful links that will change periodically and will change year to year. So things like the junior checklist, recent presentations or videos that we may have done. We always have a GPA calculator on there, different college acceptance info, sample high school transcripts, links to SAT and ACTs, links to clubs and sports, the course selection sheets. So, you know, an easy way for kids to kind of have a one-stop shop as to what they should be focusing on for junior year or for sophomore year or for a freshman year. There's also these favorites, colleges I'm thinking about, colleges I'm applying to, those careers and clusters that they may have saved, and also scholarships and money that we post here on Naviance as well. So I know Ms. Peyragrosse already talked about the self-discovery and the careers, so I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into the colleges tab. So here you can see when you click on the colleges tab, there's a lot of different things to click on. The Supermatch College Search and the Advanced College Search, that's what Ms. Peyragrosse was showing you, the Advanced College Search. It's like any other college search that you may find on the internet. Lots of different websites have them. College Board has one, Princeton Review has one, US News has one. The cool thing about doing it in here is that once you do get your matches, your list of schools, you can link them directly to your list of colleges that you're thinking about. And this is where we spend a lot of time with our students. We really want them to do a lot of research online ahead of time and really come up with a list of schools that make sense for them to apply to when they're in their senior year. This list is very fluid. So we have students adding, deleting, putting things on here, you know, really all throughout their high school career. So it's very easy to add schools. I put a bunch of schools on my list just so I can show you how the features work. But you can easily add colleges to this list by just clicking here and then looking up by the keyword. So we could throw a college on here like Princeton. And did I spell that wrong? Oh, no. So then Princeton University, you can just click this little heart and then it puts it on your list of colleges that you're thinking about. You can also, if you go back to the colleges I'm thinking about list, you'll see now that Princeton showed up on there. So this list, again, you can add, remove, and this chart tells you a lot of things that are very important to know when you're in the high school. So what this list will tell you is how to apply to the school. That's what this little CA stands for, this little computer screen. If some of you have upperclassmen, you may know about the Common Application, but it's a very popular website that allows students to apply to a lot of different colleges with one website called the Common App. So if you have your list of schools here, it'll tell you which schools are on the Common App. So for instance, these schools that all have this little CA on it are all part of the Common App. So this will help organize the student where they will apply to college. If you see a little computer screen that's no CA, that means it's directly to the school website. And yes, there are still a handful of colleges out there that still want us to mail the applications in. So that will designate that it may not be on the Common App or on their individual website that they want to receive physical documents from us. It'll show who it was added by. I know a lot of the counselors at the high school, when we're meeting with our students, we will recommend some schools. So you'll see if it was added by the student or if it was added by the counselor. It'll give you all of the different deadlines that are needed to apply. So this is getting a little bit ahead of, this doesn't really apply to you until you're an upperclassman, but whether it's an early deadline or rolling deadline, it'll tell you that. And then it has this feature, Compare Me, which I know a lot of parents like to spend a lot of time on. So what this chart is once you have your list of schools, you or your child will show up at the top. Depending on what grade level they're in, there may be different statistics up here. So GPA will show up at the end of 9th grade. GPA is only calculated based on final grades. So if you have a middle schooler or even a current 9th grader, that GPA number will not show up until the end of the year. And then the test scores may not show up until after sophomore year, after junior year, if they start to take SATs, ACTs, PSATs. And then it compares you against all of the schools that are on your list. So you can see what the average GPAs, average SAT scores are for those schools. We always tell parents and students to take these numbers with a grain of salt for a variety of reasons. The biggest reason is that these numbers are just West Orange High School specific. So these are not national averages. This is not the average GPA that University of Maryland will report. This is the GPA, the average GPA of students from West Orange High School who applied to University of Maryland and who were accepted, what their average GPA is over the last 10 years. We use the last 10 years of data. So that's why we say take it with a grain of salt, because a lot of times the numbers that the colleges report may be an unweighted GPA, so on a 4.0 scale. But this is giving you a real life look at what students from West Orange needed to get into these schools. So I'm using University of Maryland because that's my alma mater. So you'll see here that a 4.16 was needed. That's the average GPA, average SAT and ACT scores. And then a really important number, this column over here, is the acceptance number. It's important to look at this to see what kind of sample size you're working with. We have some colleges that are very popular that students apply to. For instance, Kean University, over the past 10 years, we've had 1,187 students apply. Montclair State, 1,960. NJIT, Princeton, 254. So this is giving you an idea of what that data is coming from. For instance, this 4.73 GPA from Princeton University is based on the 254 students that have applied to Princeton in the past 10 years, the 15 that got in, what their average GPA is. So I always tell parents to look over here, and it's very applicable for ones that have very small sample sizes. Like if you see that it's only based on 2 students, again, take those numbers with a grain of salt. And this chart is really just to help you place these schools into different buckets, whether they be reach schools, target schools, or safety schools, because as we explain to students throughout the high school experience, it's not just about the numbers, and it's become even more not about the numbers in the pandemic, with testing becoming less available and more scarce. So it's really more about the whole package of the student, not just about the numbers. So we try to stress that. Another thing that we use a lot at the high school is the About Me tab and its features. So one thing that we encourage students to do right from when they start high school is to start building an extracurricular resume. So Naviance has a great feature where you can update and save all of your extracurricular activities. It's, again, very fluid, so you can easily just click this little plus sign, choose what kind of category you want it to go into. For instance, maybe we're going to add a sport, and you have the flexibility to write as much or as little as you want. So maybe you'll say boys JV soccer. There are some things that are required to be entered, and most of the things are not required to be entered. So it always asks you to put a start date. So maybe they started it in August of 2021. Okay. You see, you don't have to put an end date. You could put to present. A lot of kids get hung up on this average hours per week and the total hours. It is not necessary to put those in. This may be more applicable to something like a job where you do work a certain number of hours a week, or maybe volunteer hours where you have a set number of hours. Otherwise, you can just click off that you did it in 9th grade. You can put comments or descriptions like the position you played, or maybe an award that you won or something like that. And then you click add, and then it gets saved on here. And the cool thing about this is that you can print or export it as a PDF. So students can use it for job interviews, for scholarships, for summer programs. And also when it comes time for us to write letters of recommendation for the student, we can pull information from this resume because we have access to see what's on their resume. So this is something that whenever we meet with students, we're encouraging them to have an up-to-date activities resume. And in addition to those GPA numbers and test scores, this is a very, very important part of the college application process. Another thing that we use here at the high school is surveys from our school. So every year we have a meeting, at least one set meeting with our students. So we have a freshman meeting, a sophomore meeting, a junior meeting, and a senior meeting. And at each one of those meetings, we are looking to gather information from your child so that we can help better guide them. You'll see here that this is the junior survey. There's also a freshman and sophomore survey. And it's just an opportunity for us to collect more recent information, maybe more recent contact information, maybe we'll see what their goals are, if they're considering a specific type of profession, or if it's changing from year to year, if they've developed any interests in specific colleges, and so on and so forth. And again, this is just for the staff here at the high school to help, recommend different programs. If I see that a student is interested in becoming a computer coder, and I see that they've never taken one of our computer science courses, I may, say, oh, in the survey, you said you're interested in that. How about if we sign you up for that class next year? So I find that we use these surveys all the time to really just help stay connected to our students and make sure that we have the most up-to-date information about them. Let's see. Going back to the colleges tab, something that I'm sure a lot of parents are interested in knowing about are all of the different scholarship options. So there's a really great scholarship function to search for both college specific and national scholarships, and a place where we also post all of the local scholarships that we know about. Again, this is something that, it's more for upperclassmen to start researching. Most scholarships are not available for students to apply to until their senior year, but it's a great idea to start, poking around and looking and doing research so that when it comes time for them to be eligible to apply for those scholarships, you know which ones you're looking for. Just looking to see what else to talk about everything. I think that for me is the majority of the things that we really focus on at the high school. Ms. Butler and Ms. Peyragrosse, if you guys have anything else to add, otherwise I think we could open it up to some of the Q&As.
I think I don't have any additional questions or concerns. I think that Ms. Peyragrosse and Ms. Rosen, thank you for the information that you have provided, thorough in your presentation. We do have a couple of questions. One question that we have is for the resume, should the students just list activities, jobs from the 9th grade on? I would say that most colleges or universities look at high schools, the activities, the clubs, the sporting events that the students are participating in at the high school consistently. However, if a student if there's something that they're passionate about and they have done or participated in those activities throughout those 6th, 7th, or 8th grade years, I would say that listing those items or including them is not a horrible idea. They want a true picture of the students. They want to see their consistency in what it is that they do. Another question, how do you select colleges to add them to lists?
I can talk a little bit about that. Let me go back to sharing my screen. So there's a variety of different ways that you can add schools to your list. If we're under the colleges tab, if you're just looking to do research and find different schools based on different criteria, the advanced college search is a great place to start because you can start filtering based on a variety of different preferences. Location being, one of the most important. So you can search by different states, different regions. You can select a zip code, and I don't want to be more than 100 miles from that zip code. So there's a lot of different ways to search by location. So if you want, we can just do like a quick one right now. So let's say we do the entire New England region. Students, you can search by student size and also percentage of minority backgrounds. So let's say you're looking for a medium to small school, maybe 5,000 to 10,000, and you're looking for, a lot of diversity in your school. You can also do, is it percentage from in-state versus out of state based on gender? You can say no preference, and you can go to the next one. Admission, you can, search by how selective the school is, or you could skip that. You could search by certain athletics. Let's say it's really important for you to have a specific sport. You could put that in there. Majors is another one that a lot of students will, select for. So you can search by a specific name. Let's say you're looking for an accounting major, or you could search for, schools that have anything related to that. So you could select add all of these, or you could just add a specific one. Costs, another big thing that I'm sure a lot of you are concerned about. So you can search in-state versus out of state, and choose different criteria, and even special programs. Like I have a student this year who only wanted to apply to schools that had an ROTC program. So you can do things like that. And then you can view your matches, and then of course 0 matches, but normally there are a lot of matches, sometimes too many matches that you have to kind of narrow it down even more than that. But from here, if we were to get a match, you could just add those schools directly to your list by clicking the little heart button, and then add them to your schools that you're thinking about. If you know schools already that you want to apply to, you can just simply click add colleges to that list and just add a specific college to your list. Hopefully that answered the question. I see someone put, how do you put IMS? So IMS is the Institute of Math and Sciences. That's just one of the small learning communities at the high school. So you could put that on your resume under, go back to the resume feature and see what, there's no right or wrong answer is the answer. You can kind of put it on however you'd like, but if I was to put IMS on my resume, I may put it as either education. You could put it as a I wouldn't necessarily put it as an award. You could put it as skills or academic achievement. And you can also just add it kind of as like something like additional, and just kind of write however you wanted to write it. But there's really no rhyme or reason of how you could put it on there. Just reading favorite sections for my scholarships. Do you list scholarships you were interested in, or do you list scholarships you have received? Can you talk a little bit about that section? So the scholarship section is under colleges. And again, if you add some, I don't want to leave this page. If you add favorite scholarships, it's just going to keep them in a list of scholarships that you're interested in applying to, similar to the colleges that you're applying to. It wouldn't list, whether you were awarded the scholarship or anything. It's just a way to kind of organize your scholarships. They are broken out by college-specific scholarships and national scholarships so that you can see the difference. And we also, in addition to posting all of our scholarships on Naviance, we have a Google Classroom page for our scholarships as another way to blast that information out to students.
Are there any more questions this evening for the panelists here? Okay. I would like to thank everyone for thank Ms. Rosen and Ms. Peyragrosse for being presenting here this evening. Also, I would like to thank the families for attending this evening, and we're hoping that the information that we have provided to you this evening will be useful to you and your children. If you do have any questions or concerns about Naviance or accessing Naviance, we ask that you reach out directly to the assigned school counselor, and they will be able to help you with navigating Naviance, logging on, signing up if you have not done so already, and just to answer any additional questions or concerns that you may have. Once again, I thank you for coming out this evening, and have a safe trip. Oh no, you're not driving. Have a nice evening. Thank you. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
All right,
Bye-bye.
bye.
Bye.